So I bought a storage unit because I think it has comics in it. Welcome back to another video with Collecting Casually. I'm Ryan, and this one is way overdue. So as you saw in that little intro clip, I bought a storage unit, and this one was actually purchased last fall, like 6 months ago, and I'm just now finally getting over to record this video. So back in October of 2022, I got the itch to look at storage units as another option of finding comic book collections. I was searching my normal sites for auctions, and I came across one that looked promising because in the very back of this unit, and it was a 10 by 25 unit, which is pretty big and a lot larger than I was interested in purchasing initially. But in the back, there were what looked to be either short or long boxes up on the top shelf of some metal shelving. You could just barely tell that they were comic book boxes, and if you aren't a comic book person, you probably wouldn't even know that they were there. And the pictures weren't amazing by any means, but you could kind of zoom in on them, and I could just barely make out in the opening handle of one of those boxes a BATM in all capital letters. And I was like, man, that really looks like a Batman title in there, but I can't be sure. And with this auction, it's not like Storage Wars, the TV show, where you get to go to the auction and like kind of look in and get a better view. No, all you get are the pictures that are provided to you on the website, and that is it. And the descriptions of the unit are just like, hey, there's boxes, there's some tools, you know, miscellaneous items. They don't tell you exactly what's in there. You just have to go off of your gut feeling and what you see in the pictures. Let's go ahead and check out my first footage from when I got into the unit and what I found. All right, so I just got into the unit, won it this morning. There is a bunch of like yard stuff here, all covered in dust. That was one thing that I looked out for, was a unit that didn't look like it had been gone through. So I saw a lot of dust and stuff. But what I saw in the back, and you may have spotted it by now, top left corner, were what looked to be 3 short or long boxes of comics. And turns out I was right, because you could kind of zoom in on some of the pictures, and the only way I could tell that they actually had comics in them was I could make out this BATM for Batman, right, on the auction pictures. So I've just walked in. I have gone around the corner. So it's either 2 or 3 short or long boxes. It looks to be 6 short boxes so far, just from the front. These do look like they may have taken some damage. I don't know. Hopefully it's just the boxes. We're going to find out. I got a whole 10 by 25 unit to go through, a bunch of art stuff and other random items. But super excited for this. Going to do a bunch of filming and photos, etc., etc. But I got my work cut out for me. So here we go. Okay, so I found 2 more boxes that I think may have comics in them. They look like they've been splatter painted. It's these 2 right here. So I'm going to take a look and at least see if they're comics or not. That's like a huge drop cloth blanket made out of jeans or something. All right, let's just get a peek. Let's get a peek. Oh boy, I see comics or something in bags and boards. And books. Heavy, heavy books. All right, but that's a long box. So far, 6 short boxes and 1 long box. Nice. Quick look at this box, because it's easily accessible and I don't have to get it down. Oh my gosh. So much dust.
I'm not trying to pay anything. I'm just
I know.
some generic stuff.
Cool. You're good. You're good.
Whoa. Is this fun?
This is, of course it's fun. All right, what is this? This is just some spacing. Oh, backing boards. This is some old bags and boards. Fit current. All right, cool. This box also doubles as a collector storage box. Yep. I'm guessing there's probably just extra. Oh no, there's books in here too, I think. So maybe they used it as the collector storage box. All right, and hopefully this isn't all DC stuff. No offense, but I saw a bunch of DC. But I did see X-Force and X-Men written on a sticky note up there. DC. I am not a DC person. This looks like a whole run of 12, it looks like, of Camelot 3000. Yep. Don't know anything about it. That's why I'm collecting casually. Mutants, the new. Cool. Alright, so we have some sort of TPB, Magic, Gerard's Quest. Oh, also I have a camera going right there. Just FYI. You're good though. Oh my gosh, a signed X-Men Unlimited 1. Sweet. Signed by artist Dan Panosian and writer Scott Lobdell. With a COA. It looks a little warped, but you know what? Number 2780 out of 5,000. I'll take it. I'll take it. What else we got here? X-Men Chronicles. Are these all backwards? Of course, this is all backwards. I see a Venom back there, number 1. Maybe this is, oh, alright. This is all busted up. News Time, DC News Time, alright. Jughead. Number 52, alright. Look at what is in here. A brown bag special. Let's see what we got. Alright. So there's definitely some 90s. And maybe some 2000 books in here. I'm just gonna toss that back there. Death of Superman, TPB, Avengers that got busted and bent up. I see a title, I see a Gru label here coming up. Heavy Hitters, The Trouble with Girls. Alright, so this is going to be a mix of a lot of things. Alrighty then, Return to Voodoo Island. Adults only. Gru, what do we got here? Bunch of Gru, which is fine. Some of these are Mylars, so I have good, nice. Guardians of the Galaxy, alright, so we got some Guardians. I see some, and Iron Man, some Inhumans. Ooh, hey, Infinity Gauntlet number 1, can't complain about that. And looks to be in really nice shape, too. Awesome. Okay, that was Infinity Gauntlet. Oh, here's more Inhumans. Justice League. Again, I'm not a DC guy, so I'm just going to flip past those. More DC. Justice League. Some Lobo, so some more DC titles. Alright, Marvel Superheroes. Okay. Nice. Marvel Universe. Sweet. Love that stuff. I'm a weirdo that collects those. Megalith. Mr. Miracle. Oh, hey, here's some New Mutants that they were talking about. Special edition. Some X Factor. So we got a couple books in here. Just kind of mixed around. Obviously, we're going to go through this a little closer once I got it home. Oh, man, there we go. New Mutants 98. First appearance of Deadpool. This unit has paid for itself, or hopefully will soon. Nice copy of New Mutants 98. Sweet. Hey, look at that little homage there. There we go. Maybe this is, I think this is first print of New Mutants 100. Sweet. Some Venom. X-Men 299, that's through that book. Super happy with what I've seen so far. As my wife does the real work and starts cleaning out the unit. Thanks, honey. All right, so as you saw from that video, you can see that I found a pretty cool book in the collection, and we're gonna go over that here in a little bit, but there was a lot of comics overall in this. I think I ended up picking up 2 long boxes and 5 short boxes of comics, along with one other short box that actually had a bunch of fantasy novels and things like that I sold at the garage sale. I sold the whole box with those fantasy books for like $20, I think. They were all paperbacks, no crazy titles or anything like that. And a lady came by and picked them all up. She was super excited to get that many books at a good price. All right, so let's get into looking at the comics. But before we do, I'm gonna need you to hit that like button if you're enjoying this so far. Give me a subscribe down below for more content like this. And let me know in the comments below if you've ever bought any comics outside of your normal, Facebook Marketplace or maybe your LCS. Have you ever bought anything at auction or a storage unit or ever cleared one out? Let me know what you thought of the process below. I'm curious to see if others have done it. So far, I've only done the one and it was a lot of work, but it was really fun and I am considering doing another one. Okay, so in this collection, collection, it was mostly Copper Age books, which is kind of the genre that I grew up with when I was collecting comics. You know, that 90s, late 80s, early 90s time period of collecting. So when I was flipping through these books, a lot of them were really, nostalgic to me, and had a lot of feelings going through this collection of someone that may have been of my age, or collected at a time when I did. Now, this was a mix of mostly Marvel and DC titles, but there were some independents mixed in here and there. But let's go ahead and get into the minor keys that I pulled out from this collection. And the first one up is Spider-Man #1. This is obviously that Todd McFarlane cover here that he has actually homaged himself in #8, and tons of other covers have homaged this as well. Just love this silver cover, and I actually got a second printing of the cover as well. A lot of these books, actually almost all of them, are in amazing shape for how old they were and how they were stored in this storage unit. I'm surprised that they were in as good a shape as they were, but I'm happy that it turned out to be that way. Next up is a Guardians of the Galaxy #1. Not a major title or anything like that, but just a cool cover here, and I'm a big fan of Guardians of the Galaxy. Next up is X-Men #4. That's, of course, that first appearance of Omega Red in an awesome Jim Lee cover here. Then I had some of these Marvel Superheroes specials. This is obviously the spring special here. Also had the summer special and the fall special, and I love this cover with the Sentinel here. Spoiler alert, the other season was in this collection, and we'll get to that in a minute. Also in there were some New Mutants books, which you obviously saw in that video earlier. But they did have the final issue number 100 of New Mutants, as well as the special edition New Mutants Annual #1. All right, and I thought this was kind of a cool book here I had never seen before. This is the Iron Manual from 1993. It says it's the ultimate operations handbook of the Golden Avengers armor. So just kind of that cool Leonardo da Vinci-esque cover here with Iron Man. Just kind of a cool little issue here. Then we had Venom #4, part of the Lethal Protector series. This is the first appearance of Scream here on the cover, with some amazing Mark Bagley art. And then there was, some Infinity books. You saw, obviously, Infinity Gauntlet #1 in the collection earlier, but we also had Infinity Crusade #1. And if you've watched any of my other videos, you know I'm a sucker for like these foil and holographic covers from the 90s, so definitely had to highlight this book as well. Then we also had Infinity War #1 and an Infinity Gauntlet #2. Then we had Wonder Man #1 with that poster inside. This book heated up a little bit last year. Kind of one of those spec books, but always kind of a cool cover to have. I love that crazy dinosaur in the corner there. All right, we also had Avengers West Coast '94. This is when Rhodey becomes War Machine. Previously, it was just the suit that was known as War Machine, but that's when he takes on that persona. Then kind of a cool book here. This is one of those Marvel UK titles, Wild Thing #1, and we've got Carnage and Venom on the cover, Venom being one of my favorite characters overall. But I just love this artwork. Kind of reminds me of Aeon Flux type of character in the center here. I've never read this, but that's what she's always reminded me of. And then again, I said earlier I'm a sucker for those holographic and foil type covers from the 90s. Well, we had Warlock Chronicles #1. It's got that nice foiling cover to it. That's about all I care about on this book. I've got multiple copies of it, but I'm always happy to find another one of these, what I would call gimmick type books with the flashy covers to help sell them. Also in there was this X-Men Unlimited #1. Now there's another one of these in the collection that I'm going to highlight later on, but I just thought I would point this one out as well. Once again, another hologram book. We got Spider-Man #26 from the 30th anniversary series. Multiple books obviously had this hologram on the front, and I just wanted to pull it out as another example of those books that I went crazy for as a kid, and now I love collecting as an adult. Additionally, there was a Spider-Man Unlimited #1. That's the start of the Maximum Carnage series. We got Carnage here overlooking Spider-Man in another amazing Mark Bagley cover. And then I just thought this book was kind of cool. I had never seen it before. Silver Surfer, The Coming of Galactus. It says it's the first startling saga of the Silver Surfer. I believe this is like a reprinting or retelling of Silver Surfer's, origin and coming of story in this book. And then moving over to some non-Marvel titles, I actually had Static #1. This is a book that I've always seen but never picked up or never seen in a collection. So I put it in there just to kind of say, hey, I think this might be something that I start reading or at least check into. I always heard about this character but never had a chance to take a look at it. And it also happened to be that there was another collector's edition here in the poly bag. This one comes with another facsimile of the book, as well as like a mural and trading card and poster. So definitely kind of cool that both of those were in there. And then last but certainly not least was the Max #1 from Image Comics. Again, another one of those iconic titles from the 90s that I just never got into. Back when I was collecting and Image was a thing, it was Spawn, and that was about all I was interested in as far as Image Comics go. All right, and like I said earlier, this comic book collection came out of this storage unit with about 2 long boxes and 5 short boxes full of comics. And I've showed you a handful of those, but each one of these boxes was nearly full, and I've gone through a ton of them already. And inside of those hundreds and hundreds of books of comics, I think that these are the best hits out of there. Definitely some minor keys that I've already showed you, but these are the books that are most important to me and I'm happiest to add to my collection. And let's start that off with that X-Men Unlimited #1. Now this is the second copy that was in this collection, but this is a signed copy here, and it has the COA on the back. This isn't a sealed package by any means. I put it in a Mylar, but the signature on the and numbering on the front does match the COA on the back, and it is signed by artist Dan Panosian and writer Scott Lobdell. So I thought this was pretty cool. This was done with Dynamic Forces and has the COA here. It's in really nice shape for the age and how they were stored. It does have a pretty decent spine tick up towards the top that might be able to come out, but this is one I'm considering sending into CBCS to have a yellow slab put together for. All right, next up is a pretty sweet book. Deadpool #1. Obviously, we've seen a hint at Deadpool in this collection already, but I thought that it was pretty nice to find this book. This is a really hard one to get in good grade just because of all the black on this cover, and this is in amazing shape. I don't see any spine ticks on it. Just looks absolutely amazing, and again is another candidate for pressing and slabbing. A lot of these books here are candidates for that, and I think that I'll probably end up sending in about 8 to 10 books from this collection to CGC to get slabbed. All right, and we looked at the Marvel Superheroes specials previously, and we covered everything except for Winter, and I have 2 copies of Winter here, which is actually the first appearance of Squirrel Girl. So I'm really excited about that. These are kind of tough books to have in high grade because of their square bound binding. But both of these are in really amazing shape. No spine ticks on either one of them. Covers and corners are amazing. So I'm definitely going to be sending these in to be graded as well. All right, and we're down to the last 2 books from this collection, and they are definitely my favorites, and that's for a couple of reasons. The first one up is Infinity Gauntlet #1, and this was a book that had eluded me since I've become collecting books again in the last couple years. And I was so excited to see this when I flipped through that box that you saw earlier. And since then, I've actually come across a few of these in collections, but this one's just in amazing condition. I was so excited to find it in this collection, and that's why I've picked it out as one of the last 2 books to show you. And of course, last but not least, you saw it in the preview video, and I've kind of hinted at it a couple times here, and that's of course New Mutants #98, first appearance of Deadpool. Now, I would say that this book is in amazing condition as well, and for the most part it is. No real spine ticks or anything like that, but it does have a crease going up and down the whole length of the book. I'm not sure how it happened, but it definitely, in my opinion, looks like it's something that could press out. So I will definitely have that looked at by somebody else. There is maybe a little bit of a corner crease here that breaks color, but it's definitely like a 9.6, maybe 9.8 candidate. If this corner is actually better than I think it is and this crease comes out, but super happy to have this in my collection. Deadpool is, he's a favorite of a lot of people. He's not on my top 10 list probably, but definitely a character that I've always enjoyed, especially in the movies. And this was always a book that I wasn't ever sure I would, want to fork out the actual money for, but picking this storage unit up and this being in there definitely paid off. In fact, this book in a pretty nice condition, more than paid for what I paid for the storage unit. All right, and speaking of price, I kind of told you that I had set, a mental limit of $300 on this unit. That's actually probably pretty low for this size of a unit. 10 by 25, that's enormous. So like I said, I blew past that $300 mark, and I ended up paying $504 for this unit, and it actually came out to $664 after all the fees and taxes on that. So I paid more than double what I had initially set out to pay. But all in all, I think that was more than a fair winning price from my perspective anyways, considering the books that I got out of this. The New Mutants alone essentially pays for that, but you throw in that kiln that was in there, the air compressor, all of the ceramics molds, the tools, everything else that I sold throughout the time that I've had this collection and all the items in there, I've more than made my money back. Now, there was some additional cost to it. It took me 3 days total to clear out that unit. I had that Monday off already, but I ended up taking the next day, which was a Tuesday, obviously, off of work and spent the whole day there unloading items from that unit. And then I went back like the next day on my lunch break and spent time there. And then right after work went back and spent time there as well. So it was a lot of work. And I definitely didn't plan on it being as much work as it was. It was multiple utility trailer trips home with the items that I wanted to keep and try and sell at our garage sale. But there was also a lot of stuff that I threw away. And shout out to my buddy Zach that I met at the storage unit. He actually runs a dumpster rental company and does clean outs of houses and buys storage units as well. And he let me use his dumpster that he had pulled on site to the storage unit facility and let me throw away all the garbage from this unit. So that was a huge help and huge cost savings for me. That was something that I hadn't even considered when going into this, right? I went in pretty unprepared, to be honest, but that definitely helped me out. So that's definitely something you would want to think about if you're considering buying a storage unit. Make sure you have a way of getting rid of all that trash, because most of the time these storage unit facilities will not let you throw trash away in their on-site dumpsters. All right, well, that's gonna wrap it up for this one. Give me a thumbs up if you liked this video and leave me a comment below. Let me know if you've ever bought a storage unit, if there were comic books in there, or what you found and how much work it was for you. This was definitely a ton of work for me and a great learning experience. And also, if you like videos like this, check out the video up here or here, wherever it's gonna be, to check out more of my haul videos, and give me a subscribe to make sure that you are on the list and see when I have new content coming out. And until then, we'll catch